Hey, everybody, it's me, Kamau Bell. Welcome back to my podcast, Who's With Me, episode 12, featuring today's guest, Open Mike Eagle, rapper and Twitch streamer and good talker. I really admire people who know how to keep the ball up in the air. Mike streams on Twitch. You can go follow him on Twitch. I don't know what that is. I mean, I know what it is, but I don't know how to follow people there. But he's really good at keeping the ball up in the air. This is a great conversation. You might notice that I'm sort of excited at the beginning because I hadn't really had a conversation with Mike before. I know you hear me say that a lot, but Mike is somebody I've just sort of known peripherally through the years and always admired him. And also whenever I'm around black men who I feel like we have sort of a common background. I have not been around a ton of those types of black dudes in my life. I mean, more as an adult, but whenever I'm around black dudes, where I'm like, oh yeah, you kind of grew up like me. Not that me and Mike grew up the same way, but we do have some common similarities in there. I get a little bit too excited. So I was a little bit too excited in this episode. And someone had to be like, calm down, Jamal. Jamal's what I call myself when I'm criticizing myself. Not that there's anything wrong with the name Jamal. I've really gone off the track. Anyway, before we get too deep into this, stand-up comedy dates. I'm going to do this off the top of my head. September 25th and 26th in Stamford, Connecticut at the New York Comedy Club. October 1st at Stanford University at the Stanford Memorial Theater. And then November 13th in Bellingham, Washington at the Mount Baker Theater. Get your tickets at wkamaubell.com or Google, however you want to do it. Tickets still available. Please get your tickets so I can still keep doing stand-up comedy. Also hoping that people who listen to the podcast also come to me do stand-up. Maybe there's new people who are just meeting me through this who will come to me do stand-up. I hope that's true. So here's the thing, everybody. My opinions sometimes get me into a little bit of a internet controversy. I was going to say hot water, but it's not real hot water. It's just internet controversy. And, some of the stuff has happened through the podcast, also through my Substack, which is also named Who's With Me. Or just sometimes I get, my opinions or what I do gets me a lot of extra attention. Like through the podcast, that Ted Danson interview, that was the second episode, got a lot of attention, which means I had a lot of people on my IG and my Instagram at Kamau Bell with a lot of opinions about Ted Danson apologizing for blackface. So I stand by that episode. But then also sort of around that same time, I mean, we've talked about a lot on the podcast, just a lot of Kevin Hart Roast talk that sort of just as we were recording the episodes that was out in the world. Then I wrote a big Substack about it. I declared that the roast was dead, and I just didn't know that was a big deal. But people, maybe because I'm a comedian, but as many people pointed out, Michael Harriot, the great Michael Harriot, who you can also find on Substack and also out in the world, point out that roasts aren't really a significant part of stand-up comedy. They're just a thing that happens, but somehow stand-up comedians who do roasts have acted like it's a part of the tradition that we need to blah, 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 blah. And so that got me into a lot of hot water with the Rogan sphere, the comedians and the people who are fans of that. I mean, again, not hot water, it's just because I stand by what I said, so the water doesn't feel that hot. And then, look, I just thought it wasn't a good look for Nate Bargatze to be at the UFC event on the White House lawn. I didn't think it was a good look for anybody, but it was my choice to talk about Nate Bargatze, who's a comedian who, I think I've met him once or twice. I know I've met him once or twice. And again, it's not even about me criticizing him. A little bit it's about that, but it's also just about, hey man, that's not a good look. Even if you are MAGA, if you're trying to sell, arenas, which you are, and you're trying to open amusement parks, maybe you don't do that. But people really took that to heart, and I don't know, felt like I turned on comedy. I've heard some comedians were not happy about me. I actually stumbled across one the other day on Instagram who's like, calling Nate Bargatze a fascist is like calling Kamau Bell a comedian. And I just thought, you need better writers. Yeah, I am a comedian, and we come in all shapes and sizes and flavors, and I'm very clear of the tradition of comedy I walk in. And just because you're a comedian doesn't mean you're funny to everybody. That's just how it works. So I'm not here trying to act like I don't think comedy is just about how many tickets you sell. And let me be clear, do whatever kind of comedy you want to do. It's just, and I have opinions about it. Anyway, people had feelings, especially again, comics had feelings about it. And then Leslie Jones was on the podcast a couple weeks ago, and man, we put out a clip from that episode where she was talking about Ghostbusters, but then she just started preaching about why are you so upset that women are in a Ghostbusters movie? And then it went to, don't you think writers want their writings to be reinterpreted like Shakespeare and Charles Dickens? And then it ended on, God created a little bit of everything, so we should just be prepared for whatever the world has for us. And it was just beautiful. It was a beautiful, like inspiring, well put together rant that also just felt like I said, it felt like she was preaching. And man, so many people, when we posted that thing up on IG. IG seems to be the new hub of the trolls. I think they all left Twitter because Twitter got boring, so they've sort of moved to IG, a little bit to Threads too. But so many internet trolls were just like, Ghostbusters was bad. The all-woman Ghostbusters was bad. And some people were like, it was like treated the original Ghostbuster movies like it was somehow a sacred text. Like it was like her and the women who were in Ghostbusters that somehow like mess with one of the sacred texts of humanity. And my favorite response is somebody's like, Ghostbusters 2 sucked, right? Like we all think that Ghostbusters 2 with the dudes was not a good movie. Like it has the Bobby Brown song, but that's about it. So like, and here's the other part. It was my IG comment section was also flooded with people who were like, oh my God, the Ghostbusters, all woman Ghostbusters is my favorite. Because that's how it works. Parents were like, I showed it to my daughter. Or people were like, I never got into the original. Because of course people liked it. Just because the movie, again, didn't make a ton of money, and I don't know how much money it made, or wasn't a critical hit, aren't gonna love it or like it. Like, it's so funny. I'm old enough now to see things go from like, to like, oh, like, I hate to tell you all this, but like lots of things I've seen in my life go from like, to like, oh, we like that now. Nostalgia. We like that. Or, oh, we've had a chance to sit with this and we like it. That's the whole idea behind a cult movie. It's a movie that like originally was ignored and then people really found value in. And we all understand that when it's our cult movie. They just made, shout out to the Wayans brothers, they just made another scary movie. And those first scary movies, they weren't like monster huge mega hits. It's just the people who liked them, and they were never really reviewed all that well. And this is not me. This is about how things are reviewed. And guess what? Eventually, some people were like, we want another scary movie. And the Wayans were like, would you like another scary movie? And they're like, yeah, we would. And they made another one. And it's made over $100 million. And guess what? It still didn't get great reviews everywhere. Like it's just because the culture, scare quotes, doesn't like something, doesn't mean that there aren't people who like it. And I think you see it with black stuff all the time. You see it with anything that's not appealing to straight white men, And so the all-woman Ghostbusters just also came out at a time when the alt-right internet that later became the manosphere and MAGA was really starting to like feel itself. So like the Ben Shapiro's and the Milo Yiannopoulos really were like, felt like they finally were being, well, actually what would happen, they were feeling themselves also, they were being astroturfed by billionaires so they could take up a lot of space on the internet. They were really feeling themselves and so Milo Yiannopoulos made it his point to like take down Leslie specifically. Like, of course, because she was the one black person in the movie, the black woman, and really like she was doxxed, she was harassed. And there's a version of Leslie Jones that never recovers from that, because that happens to people when you go through some shit on the, through in the public eye, where you just you're never the same. But the thing you could see from my interview with Leslie Jones is she is just as loud and proud and ebullient. I think I'm saying that well. Can somebody let me know? Ebullient as she ever was. And she's not tripping. But it was so funny to me that there's just an aspect of kind of person, mostly dudes, who just want to argue on the thing they care about. Not about like, it's okay that a woman Ghostbusters exist. It's about, I didn't like it. Okay. A lot of people did, but I didn't like it. Okay. A lot of people did, but I didn't like it. Years ago, I remember this was when the Vagina Monologues was big. I went to see a production of the Vagina Monologues with my then girlfriend, future wife. And afterwards, I remember she asked me my opinion, and I was like, I don't know that I'm supposed to have an opinion. And at the time, I don't think I phrased it well. But what I was really saying was like, I don't think that was for me, and I'm okay with that. Like, because I felt like I don't know what I would say about it that wouldn't sound like I was somehow trying to push the Vagina Monologues through my man brain and make it make sense in a way that's like, I don't think that was written for me to understand, and that's fine. That's fine. You see it in music all the time. I remember I used to be a young person who was like, pop music is bad, boy bands are bad, just because they weren't the music I liked. And you realize, what are you doing? Let people enjoy their thing. Unless you have something to say, like something to say about like, I don't like how Justin Timberlake treated Janet Jackson after the Super Bowl, and he also happens to be in a boy band. But not like just I don't like that whole thing. So men get caught up in their opinions, and then they want to share their opinions. And so I ended up fighting in the comments a lot on IG. Go to my IG at Kamau Bell. Not fighting, but just really like making it clear that like I'm not gonna let you just do that. So anyway, having said that, I also should spend more time on the comments on YouTube. I'm reading them, but I'm not engaging because I've spent so much of my life being a lurker on YouTube that it's hard to like actually leave comments. But I'm gonna start leaving comments on these videos. I claim that today. So look for me in the comments on the YouTube videos. Also like and subscribe and hype, do all the things. And next, my conversation with Open Mike Eagle. I just like this dude a lot, and I enjoy talking to him. Hope to talk to him some more. We talk a little bit about how he came and saw Fishbone with me in LA when they performed at the Grammy Museum. Shout out to Fishbone. Fishbone. But that was the most we'd ever really hung out. Although he does remind me that I did his podcast at one point, which I was like, I'd totally forgotten about because of we'll talk about why I'd forgotten about. Nothing against him, just about mostly against where I was in my life at that point. He is always on tour. You can check him out. I didn't realize he has a new album coming out. His last album that is out now, called Neighborhood Gods Unlimited, is out right now. And then his next album, which releases very shortly after you hear this, is called Doomed, and it releases on August 13th. So yeah, great to have Open Mike Eagle on. You can see at the beginning I like him so much I'm actually acting weird, so I settled down eventually. But yeah, shout out to Open Mike Eagle. Also check out his podcast with Anna Marie Cox called Past Due. Check him out on Twitch. He's on social media. He's on YouTube. Check him out here if you're on YouTube. He posts things on YouTube where he just talks about things in the culture he's interested in. He's just a one-stop shop, and he's great. Anyway, enjoy.